Okay, so I'm recording right now. Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, so everybody we'll just go through, and some of this you guys may know, some of it, like I said, this is, just
I like your client's name.
I know, me too. Bruno. Okay, so we always want to go in, start, and I know some of this stuff may be you think, oh, this is common sense, but what we're going to do here in the future as we keep going along is I'm going to have you guys should be, with those of you that have mentors, should be writing mock contracts to your mentor. Okay, so then because when you start putting pen to paper and all that kind of stuff, it well, I guess mouse click to whatever, but it makes a difference. And then when you start explaining it, that makes a difference as well. Okay, so today, date prepared. We put the day in which it is prepared, right? This is an offer from your client. Our client today happens to be Bruno Mars, right? I should have him playing in the background. Okay, Bruno Mars. So then we're writing writing an offer on 23042 Park Privado. So you want to make sure that you always put their address here, right? And then you always you can't leave any of this stuff blank. So we always put whatever town it is in the city, the zip code, and then always most of the time I see people not putting the parcel number in. You have to put that parcel number in.
So that doesn't automatically populate?
It automatically populates if you add the listing in your zip forms. So when you're creating the transaction, I always recommend doing the MLS Connect, then it will auto populate. But if you're not doing the MLS Connect, then it's left blank. And then you have to manually put it in. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
I have a question before we continue.
Yes.
So I would like to start doing mock contracts. I was wondering, what contracts do you think are the most important to understand?
This one, the RPA, the real estate purchase agreement. So what you would do is just go onto the MLS, pick a listing, right? And pretend you have a buyer for it and start writing contracts.
Just the RPA?
I would get the RPA down as soon as you can.
So what other contracts? Because I've done a few of the RPA, but I would like to practice the other ones beforehand.
Okay, practice the listing agreement.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see who's all here. Okay. Awesome. So then we put the APN in, the purchase price, whatever that happens to be, right? So we put this one, we're offering 1 million. So you just type it in here, type it here, then it auto populates, right? It does all the spelling and everything for you. And that's 10 million, take out a 0, right? And then we close of escrow. Typically, we put in a number, right? We put in, let's say 30 days or 45 days. Remember, I recommend make sure that you're having conversations with the lender to find out what their time frames are. Okay, what their time frames are as far as, how quickly they can get appraisal done, how far they are in hold on, sorry. Excuse me, how quickly they can get appraisals done, how quickly the approval process can be, so on and so forth, how quickly they can close, because especially there for a while, we were, and I think it'll probably be for a period of time, having crunch time, right? People, there's just so much business going on out there that lenders are having a hard time closing on time. So we have to have, constant communication. I'm helping a gal right now with 2 different escrows, same lender, and I have been trying all day to find out from him when it's going, if we're going to docs or what the deal is. And communication is key, guys. Communication is key. Don't ever be afraid to ask the hard questions. Don't be afraid to bug escrow, bug title, bug, your lender or anything like that, because they're your teammates and they are a reflection on you. And even if you don't want to be in business with this particular lender, it's still a reflection on you because you're doing everything you can to make sure everything gets closed. So it's all about communication. Yes, Alper.
Oh, yeah, Stephen, although we write there 30 days, it may take longer or shorter, the escrow days. I mean, we can write it there 30 days, but there's always a possibility that it will take 45 days or it may be closed in 20 days. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there's people that are still closing in 10, 15 days, these all cash people, right? So like I said, this can change to whatever you want. I closed an escrow 2 years ago. Actually, was it 2 years ago already? In 5 days. It was insane. Opened it on a Monday, closed it on a Friday. So it can be whatever you want it to be, but it's all about communication to find out what, if it's all cash, how quickly is it, you have liquid, are you able to transfer it immediately? Are you able to do all that stuff? If it's with a lender, how quickly can you get an appraiser out? How quickly can we remove the contingencies, etc. So that's why you want to have the conversation before you go to write. The only time I would put close of escrow to occur on a specific date is let's say the buyer has a house that they're selling and it's closing on, on November 15th, right? So you want to have a concurrent close, let's say November 13th. Then you can put a specific date, or if it needs to close by the end of the year. But more times than not, we are doing a 30-day, 45 or 60, whatever the case may be.
What
Okay.
if there's a mutual agreement that, let's just say that the appraisal couldn't make it out there timely. Both parties could agree to amend this RPA?
Of course, addendums are happening all the time. We
Okay.
can do extensions of times for removing contingencies. We can do extension of time for extending the close of escrow. Absolutely.
And the process is through an addendum.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. So the next one, any questions about the offer itself? Paragraph 1.
I had a question about the parcel number. What is actually a parcel number? And I know you have told us before where to get it from.
Uh-huh.
Please mention that again.
Yeah, so there's 2 places that you can get it from. You can get it from the MLS printout,
Okay.
right? So and when you're pulling up the MLS, there's up at the top on the right-hand side, there's the APN number, the parcel number.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can, that has to be there. And then you can also get it from your property profile or the real list, right? Okay. That you pull just to make sure that who owns the property.
Okay. And is that available from the title company?
The real list is the MLS sheet will be there. It will be on the MLS sheet, but the real list, which is your tax, is inside the MLS.
Okay.
Right. And then you can also get the property profiles from the app that you have from your title company.
Got it. Okay. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question.
Yes. Who is that?
So, Lois.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
So what happens when you have a seller that does want to sell their home, but they can't sell their home until they buy their new home?
Well, we'll go into that. There is a seller's replacement property addendum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we would incorporate that into the offer.
Do you still put 30 days on it, or is that?
You can put 30 days, and then it just all depends on how we outline the, like I said, it's all about conversations, right? So it all depends on how we outline the seller's replacement property.
Okay.
Right,
all
because there can be, anyway, we won't go into that today, but that will be another, when we look at different options, like if it's, contingent upon the buyer selling their property or contingent upon the seller selling their property, there's all different kind of scenarios. So, but great question. And we'll definitely go into that on another training.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But it is out there. Okay, so the second paragraph is agency. So obviously this is automatically checked that they received the agency disclosure, right? And then we go into B, confirmation, okay? Guys, you have to fill all this out. I can't tell you how many times I see that people leave license numbers out. Anything that you leave out, we have to counter back in. Does that make sense? So just make sure you get in the habit of putting all this information in. Seller's brokerage firm on this particular property is Coldwell Banker Realty. This is their broker's license number. Then and then you have to check the boxes. Agency has to be confirmed 100%, 100% all the time. So they represent the seller, right? So this is the company, this is the broker, this is the agent. You put the license numbers in. The license numbers of everybody is on the MLS printout sheet, okay? So you would check they represent the seller and then the seller's agent. And then the buyer's brokerage firm for these purposes, it's us, Keller Williams Calabasas, and that's our brokerage number. And then they represent the buyer, and then Stephanie Alatorre is the buyer's agent, right? And this is my license number. So does that make sense? So I never ever want to see any of this blank ever when you turn in an offer, okay? Got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Finance terms. So initial deposit. So initial deposit is 3%, 99.9% of the time, we do 3% of the purchase price. Okay, so in this case, it makes it easy math. It's a $1 million purchase price. And then we're gonna put initial deposit of 30,000, okay? Okay. Sorry guys, my phone's kind of blowing up. Okay. All right, so 30,000. Now, a lot of times I see you guys check this box and put, you know, wire transfer. Okay, you don't have to do that because that's redundant because it's already deposit directly to escrow holder by electronic funds transfer. So you don't have to put it in there twice, okay? So it automatically defaults to, yeah, they're gonna do a wire transfer. If your client feels more comfortable with doing a personal check, then you can check the box. They write out the check to the escrow company, right? So let's say it's Parkway Escrow. They write the check for 30,000 to Parkway Escrow, and then you guys come into the office and you have to log the check in our trust log. Okay, so as soon as you get that check, you come to the office and then you log it in there, and the check stays with the trust log at the office. Okay, and then when escrow is open, then it will get pushed to the escrow company. Okay.
Is that if
So if
we
you
only
wanna-
use sorry.
It's outside.
Is that only if we use Parkway escrow
No.
or is that any escrow?
Any escrow.
Okay.
And that's
Any-
only if we do a check. It's less complex if we do the EFT, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that want to do a check. I mean, we still get checks most of the time just for leases and stuff like that, but I don't know, I haven't looked at the check log, but more times than not, they do the electronic funds. But if some people are like, I'm a little nervous to wire that kind of money, right? You ask your clients, what do you feel more comfortable doing? Then whatever the case is. So then we put the 30,000, right? We're not going to go, if it's an all cash offer, you check here. We're not going to go into that in this part of the training. Okay. So the next one is just like, okay, Bruno would probably be an all cash offer. Who knows? But anyway, but he's taking a loan out. He's going to go ahead and put $500,000 down on this property. So we put first loan in the amount of 500,000. Okay. And then you find out, you know, is this conventional? Is it FHA, VA, seller financing, which I'm not seeing any seller financing at all. But, and then to protect your buyer as well, you can put a number here of this loan shall be at a fixed rate not to exceed, let's say 3%. So then let's say that Bruno's just like, let's say the rates went crazy and they went up to 10%. He could get out of the contract because he's not able to get a loan at 3% or less. Does that make sense? Okay. So we put the 500,000, and then lucky for you guys, it auto populates what the remainder is. The balance of down payment or purchase price is 470, which gives us a purchase price total of 1 million. What I would highly recommend to you guys, if you want, just because it just helps you better understand. I used to do these contract trainings and we would have no computer. I would print it out and you guys would have to actually calculate what to do. Right? And it just helps, I think it helps kind of embed and everything, but whatever. So you see that they come in with 30,000 as the initial deposit. They're putting 500. So that means there's only 470 left to make the million. And then, you know, whatever closing costs. Fair enough?
I have a question.
I know you guys are like, ah, this is easy peasy, Stephanie. All right. So, does someone have a question?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, I can hear you. Sorry.
So when you put the percentage, can you put the best prevailing rate or you should put like an actual percentage?
As a buyer, I would put a specific percentage. If I'm countering, then I would take out the 3% and put at prevailing rate, at best prevailing rate.
Okay, and the next question, when you said that if they want to do a personal check, then you have to log it into the trust. But then I heard that we don't touch money. So can you elaborate, please?
Yeah, so we do have a trust log here. There are some companies that do not have trust logs. If they do not have a trust log, then you cannot accept any cash whatsoever, or you know, any form of payment or check or anything like that. But we do have a trust log here. So then as soon as you find out what the escrow company is, then you would have them write the check for 30,000 to blah, blah, blah escrow. And then you come in to bring it to the office, you log it into the trust log and leave the check there. Okay.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mona. Okay, so now we're on the next page. So if you guys had to explain this, do you guys feel pretty comfortable on page 1?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a question.
Who's that?
Stephanie. It's Pila.
Oh, hi, Pila.
Hi. Where'd you get the 3% from?
That's just a rule of thumb that everybody does. We do 3%, and then when we get to liquidated damages, it protects the liquidated damages clause, if it's initialed by all parties, will help protect the up to 3%, right, of the deposit monies. If anything over, it doesn't protect that. It just, you know, if the buyers were to breach the contract and they have liquidated damages initialed, and we'll get into that particular clause later on in the contract. But everybody, like I said, 9/10% of the time, we do 3% of the purchase price down as an initial deposit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we've been doing that forever. Yeah, so you just want to just keep 3%. So it's like, okay. And then also I want to give you guys, if people are like, well, what are my property taxes going to be? Right? Your property taxes, to give you an estimate of what it's going to be, you can always time the purchase price by 0.0125. Right? So for example, this would be 12,500 would be an estimate of what their annual property taxes would be.
Where does that get written in?
It doesn't get written anywhere. I was just giving.
Just to calculate. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Okay, so back here, verification, down payment, and closing costs. Remember, you guys are not working with any buyers until you know that they have, until you have verification, the proof of funds, right? You don't need their whole bank statement and everything that they spend money on. You just need the first page, black out their account number, right? But we just need to know that they have the funds for their down payment and closing costs. for their closing costs. Okay, so so Bruno needs $500,000 plus whatever the closing costs would be, and you have to verify and have those proof of funds that he can perform. Okay, so always want you checking that box, right? That the verification is indeed attached, right? It goes with your offer, your whole offer package. Okay, so then you can talk to people too. Now, next one, appraisal contingency and removal. This agreement, it defaults to the agreement is contingent upon a written appraisal of the property by a licensed or certified appraiser, right? And your buyer has 17 days after acceptance to remove that contingency. Okay, if you talk to the lender and the lender says, hey, I have this appraisal that's Johnny on the spot, we can definitely get an appraisal done in 14 days without a problem. Shorten those days, especially if you're in a multiple offer situation. You want to be able to be as have as powerful and strong of an offer as you can. Okay, and I also want to give you guys a side note. Okay, let's say we have acceptance today, right? Today is October 21st. We have acceptance. The seller signed off on it, they accept it, and they go, woohoo, let's go open escrow. So today, October 21st is the date of acceptance and is considered day 0. Okay, day 1 is October 22nd. Okay, so the time starts ticking on day, on the next day. So the 22nd will be day 1, so on and so forth, right? So you always want to make sure that you have the timeline as to when any and all of contingencies need to be removed. Escrow, let's say the 21st, let's say the escrow did not get opened until let's say Monday for some reason. I mean, that wouldn't happen, but let's say it was Monday. So I've heard people sometimes say, okay, well, escrow opened on Monday, so that's when my time frames begin. Negative, not happening. You're already, 5 days into your time periods. Okay, so always keep in mind, date of acceptance is 0. Day 1 starts the next day. Okay.
Now here on the appraisal contingency, I would imagine that these lenders are swamped, so this could probably be longer than 17, like maybe 21 days. What have you been seeing lately?
Now, I haven't seen any go over 21. I mean,
okay,
over 17, but like I said at the beginning, you want to have those conversations.
Okay.
Right? Have the conversation, just say, hey, what is it looking like? What are you doing? I mean, if I put 14 days to have a contingency removal, is that likely, or am I going to be stressed out about it and I should just leave it at the 17?
I have another question.
Uh-huh.
So when you say the next day, are you referring to business day or calendar day?
They're all calendar days.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Every single except for, so for example, the only reference to business days in the RPA is three days. So thank you for bringing that up, because I didn't address it to you guys. So the initial deposit has to be deposited within 3 business days after acceptance. So for example, if we had acceptance today, then so we have Thursday, Friday, and then the next business day is Monday. So then your buyers would have until close of business on Monday, right, the 26th, to get their deposit monies in. Okay, so that's why you want to make sure that your escrow is on top of it, that they open it quickly and provide those wire instructions, because you only have those 3 days. And sometimes escrow, may not get it the next day. I mean, typically everybody's on it, and as soon as you have fully executed contract, then it gets pushed to escrow immediately. Does that make sense? So great question. So the only reference, okay. The only reference to business days is for the initial deposit.
Okay, so everything is calendar day except for deposit. Thank you.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry, Stephanie. Who sends out the appraiser? The lender?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So one thing that we'll be training on too, or continue training on, is the buyer consultation, right? So obviously it's very important, one, for you guys to understand how the whole process works, And also it's your responsibility to make sure that you guys, that you understand, and then you explain it to them so they understand, gosh, because there's going to be out-of-pocket costs, right? So Louis, so that's a great question, right? So the lender will hire the appraiser, right? That's part of the process, but the appraisal is an out-of-pocket cost at the time they order the appraisal of the buyer, right? So not only are your buyers going to be paying for a home inspection and maybe the pest inspection, so on and so forth. So it's, you have to prep them to understand the costs associated with buying a home. It's not just the closing costs, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fabulous.
Me.
Okay,
On letter 8, you just submit the proof of funds, or what is a DU, the desktop underwriter?
yeah, so that's when you get the underwriter where they have it gives a certain comfort level to the seller that they are a solid buyer, right?
Buyer.
They've provided their tax returns, gone through a little bit more of the underwriting process, right? To give assurance that it is that they're solid, right?
Okay.
But I would definitely, because there are some that some listing agents that want to have that provided with their offer, right?
Yeah.
But you know, like we've talked about before, that it's the sooner we can hold on, sorry guys. The sooner you can get your buyer speaking to a lender and getting that process,
Smooth sailing.
yeah, it just makes it so much easier. You would be able to really position your buyer as an all cash, right? Because they've gone through the underwriting process. So like for those of you that may be working, like June, for you example, you're working with these particular buyers, you haven't necessarily found the right house for them yet, but while you're trying to find the right house, you can have them go completely through the underwriting process.
Okay, and also the house that I found, it says it requires a DU. The listing agent.
So talk to your.
What do you mean by DU?
It's desktop underwriting. So it gives additional underwriting purposes, it just takes it another level for the lenders to say, hey, this is a solid buyer, right? There's some additional information that has been provided and they're able to get that desktop underwriting. So what I would do, June, is have your client talk to the lender and just say, hey, what do we need to.
I already did. I'm just waiting for them to.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's just it's another step up from it's a more solid pre-approval, right? We can issue pre-approvals, but we really don't know shedizzle, right? We know a little bit. They had a credit report and all that kind of stuff pulled, but the DU is more solid and has more information.
Okay.
Stephanie, so sorry.
It's okay.
Say we our buyers don't use JoJo. Say they go with another lender. Should we let them know, like, hey, maybe you should ask them how fast they can appraise? How fast they can, like, are they if their appraisers get there, if their appraisers can get out there so we can close maybe less than 14 days.
Is that where you say that we should have good communication with the lender?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So always, and so, I mean, yes. Communication. I am so big on communication, guys, and setting the expectations and knowing what's going on and what's being delivered. There are some people out there that will say, hey, yeah, I can do blah, 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 blah. May not be accurate. We all have to proceed in good faith, and hopefully everybody's being honest, right? Because we want to write an accurate and solid offer. So like I said, always have communication with the lender. as to what they feel that their timeframes can be, if the buyers are solid, et cetera. I mean, it's easier to have those conversations if we're using our preferred lenders, you know, i.e. JoJo. But then if it's a lender that they want to use, that they have a relationship in, just, you know, make sure that the buyers are okay with you speaking to them. You don't necessarily need all the details, but you need to be able to have a straight line of communication with them to find out what's going on.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So, okay. So loan applications. So here on one, you know, it's just, hey, we're not waiting 3 days. I always want this checked. Like I said, the verification attached and letter attached for the loan. So this is regarding your pre-approval letter from your lender or your DU, right? You'll have that letter attached here. And it's also indicating loan contingency, you know, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, well, hey, Bruno, this particular offer is contingent upon your ability to attain a loan, right? And then 3, the loan contingency removal is within 21 days after acceptance, you'll need to remove the loan contingency or cancel the agreement, okay? So this is where you want to be, okay, hey, the lender said, you know what? I know we can get appraisal removal in 14 days, and I know your buyers are solid. We can get them done in 17, right? Or you can just leave it to the default of the 21. Like I said, this is when you're having communications with the listing agent. Hey, what's going on? Are we in a multiple offer situation? What is it going to take for my buyer to get the home? Blah, 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 right? If you didn't want to have a loan contingency, that box would be checked.
Really quick, so if the what is that? The appraisal contingency is 14 days. You're allowing an extra 3 days for the loan contingency removal, or what? What is that?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to see how, you know, I'm sure there's like it's related.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can, so once you know that the appraisal is, and you can remove that contingency, and then you're just getting, because a lot of times once the appraisal comes in, then certain things get triggered by the lender to finish off the approval process.
Okay.
So a lot of times, you know, or you can say, hey, can we get both, you know, done in 14?
Okay.
So I'm just doing 4 examples.
Okay.
Right? Each offer you write is different. You know, each lender may be different.
Or we just go by the defaulted one, you know, the 17 and the 21.
Yeah, because I know a lot of times people are like, some people are putting this agreement is not contingent upon a written appraisal, and they leave the loan contingency, they'll shorten that, and then they can get themselves in a pickle, right? If the appraisal doesn't come in. Okay, so we have a situation right now, wasn't horrible, but they offered, the appraisal came in $5,000 less than, which isn't much, right? But $5,000 less than what the purchase price was. So
that's an additional down payment.
Yeah, so technically, I mean, but that 5,000 for these particular buyers, it caused them not to be able to get the house because it could push them, just that little amount could push them over their, you know, their debt to income ratio or something like that, or maybe their payment will be too high and they don't want to move forward. However, because it's not contingent upon a written appraisal, they cannot cancel the agreement just based on that the appraisal did not come in. Because the appraisal not coming in may force them not to get the loan approval, but it's not part of the deal, right? You said it's not contingent. So fortunately, these sellers went ahead and they negotiated a new purchase price. They met in the middle, just, you know, met them halfway, right? $2,500. But they didn't have to do that. They could have just said, hey, if you want the house, you're going to have to come up with that additional $5,000 at closing.
And that gets communicated via an addendum then?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it gets, if you're requesting a change in purchase price, we usually address that. It can do an addendum, or you can address that on a request for repairs, right?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so they put in their request for a few small items to be fixed, and then they also requested for the purchase price to be lowered. So typically we do all that in a request for repairs in RR.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you know how escrows sometimes they take longer than the 21 days?
Correct.
So my question is that because of the contingencies that take longer than what they're supposed to?
You mean, are you talking about the 30 or 45 day escrow, or are you just talking about the 21 days for the loan contingency to be removed?
So you know how people they're always saying how their escrow takes longer to close than how it was
Correct.
intended to? So is that because the contingencies take longer, or why is that because?
There's a variety of different things that happen. It could be the appraisal took too long and they're having, funding issues, just like on one of the deals I'm helping someone with. It was supposed to close on the 16th, right? And then, but the lender, there's some special conditions, it could be a variety of things. Maybe a credit card has to be paid off, right? Or something like that. So they still haven't, or they could be just too busy. Like I know there's a lending institution out there that is just so busy that they're having issues processing everything quick enough, right? So then it becomes a lending issue. So now again, like I said, I was trying to get a hold of this guy all day today. He's got 2 of the loans and they were supposed to, so we did an extension of time to close on the 23rd, which is not happening, right? So now I'm trying to figure out, well, how long do I have to extend it again? Right, so that's a lending issue. There was time when stuff comes up on title. So there could be, like there was this one instance where there was there could be easements that come up on a title report. So that's why you always want to look at your title, your preliminary title report. And if there happens to be, maybe there's taxes owed on it. It could be a seller issue. Maybe they owe, $50,000 in back child support. That has to be paid off during the escrow, right? There's such a wide array of reasons for different escrows to be postponed. Like on Luisa's deal, she has a really crappy listing agent that she's dealing with that I have to continually poke the broker. So the broker pokes the agent to get stuff moving. Nightmare. So there's a lot of different situations that come up that can extend escrow. But that's why, again, it's all about communication. And when you're having conversations with people, follow it up in writing. Follow up everything in writing. Hey, pursuant to our conversation, blah, 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 blah. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys always have to act as if this would go legal. Does that make sense? Okay, so you just never know what can happen at the end of escrow, or 2 months later, they're like, oh my God, I didn't have this. How come I didn't have this report? How come I did blah, blah, blah? Something came up that, the water heater exploded. I don't know, it's just stuff, right? So if you have Post-it notes or notes in your phone, keep them all, but document everything. Document everything. You guys understand?
Yes.
Okay. It's not to scare you, it's to protect you, Okay. So then we get to sale of buyer's property. We're not going to go into this in this training. Okay, we're going to stop in about 10 minutes and then I'm going to reschedule this so we can schedule the next one so we can keep going. Okay. Through the contract, that is. So if you guys if it's contingent upon the buyer happen to sell their property, that's where you would check. It'd put the contingency for sale of buyer's property into the packet, into the fold. But like I said, we'll go over that on a later date. So paragraph 5 is addendum and advisories. I want you always over here, you're always going to check this. KWC addendum to the RPA. Okay. This form is located in your intranet in our back office. It's mykw.kw.com. If you scroll down on the right-hand side at the bottom, it'll say MC, whatever, our Calabasas Market Center is 850. I'm not sure what the other, what your other market center numbers are for those of you not in the Calabasas office, but you would click on that, it goes up and you go to office and then you go to documents, etc. If you
Pardon
have,
me, what website did you say we would find this?
it's your mykw.kw.com.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay,
What does
and then
addendum do? Sorry, I just wanted to ask, what does this addendum do? Like, what is it meant for?
so the KW, your Keller Williams addendum just addresses different issues, right? That can be maybe local to your particular area. There's a paragraph in there, I think it's the very first paragraph, that has a buyer fee that you can charge to your buyer for $575 that covers your additional fees on your closing. So there's just a lot of stuff. So what I would do is go in there and read through that.
Got it. Okay.
Right, so there, I think it's, I don't even know how many pages it is, 4 or 5 pages, but it just incorporates the language in that addendum. Every office, like, you know, Coldwell Banker has one, Berkshire has one, Compass has one, you know, they have an addendum to protect. Uh-oh, hold on a second. Oh. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so it's just relevant to each particular office.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome. And then we have obviously it defaults to buyer's inspection advisory, the BIA that's attached to this RPA. And then you check the box KWC affiliation. Like I said, that document is also, June, I emailed those to you. You got that? You got those? No, it's okay. So, and then the KWC affiliation. So what the affiliation is that we have to disclose any company that we're affiliated with and have a financial relationship with. And so it has like Parkway Escrow on there, et cetera, right? So we have that affiliation. We have to disclose that to all parties. Okay. And then other terms, this is where you would put, anything. So let's say buyer is related to buyer's agent. Okay. You have to disclose any type of relationships. Let's say if buyer is a licensed, buyer is a licensed real estate agent, right? You have to disclose stuff like that. You have to disclose relationships, anything like that. So you put stuff in there.
What if you are the agent and the client? Would you specify that you are the client, or would that just be obvious? Or do you just put that?
No, you have to disclose it. You would have to, buyer is, a lot of times I would probably, no, I don't know if I'd, anyway, yeah, buyer is, buyer is a selling agent.
How about if I have a selling agent, but I'm a real estate agent that's a seller? Would I indicate that there?
Huh? What are you doing?
Would I indicate that that the seller is a real estate agent, even if I'm not representing myself?
Yes, absolutely. They even say sometimes, I've had attorneys tell me that we're supposed to disclose if your client's an attorney, because they just have additional knowledge that another person may not have. I haven't asked Rich what his thoughts were on that, but in different compliance meetings I've been in, they've said that you should disclose if the client is, if the buyer is an attorney or seller is an attorney. But yeah, so if you're seller is a licensed real estate agent, you're not, absolutely have to disclose it.
But you don't have to disclose their DRE number, right? You just have to say
No.
they're an agent.
Right.
Okay.
What if the client is an investor?
Not a big deal.
That's what I wanted to ask. Is there a general list or something like that? That's the list of things that we have to disclose or not? How
No.
we decide what to disclose or not?
No, I mean, basically
Relation-wise.
it's, you have to disclose if they're a licensed real estate agent, you know, if they are related, you know, to the buyer or seller, right? Like if I was representing my sister, I'd have to put in sellers related to buyer. I mean, buyer's agent is related to seller, buyer's agent is related to buyer.
Okay, but
Yeah,
not
there's
like
not a whole lot of, we just have to let people know if they're a licensed real estate agent and if there's any relationship. It's pretty much just the rule of thumb.
What about a friendship?
No. Mm-mm. Nope. Good question though, guys.
What if they know the seller's agent, like listing agent?
So it's okay. There's a lot of us that know each other. But it's just
Do they-
relationship. It's just if you're related.
Ooh, okay. Like, what if they are like best friends with the listing agent and listing agent like gave
No,
them
it doesn't.
preference over
No.
others? No?
Nope. Nope.
Perfect. No more, guys.
Yep. No, we're all good. Okay, so I think it's 5:52, and instead of start going into all the allocation of costs, I'm going to stop right there. Okay, but one thing I wanted to bring up to you guys is, hold on, is make sure you read all the fine print, right? Kind of, it's easier now, but read everything. I mean, I know this was a gazillion years ago when this happened, but it didn't happen on my deal, but it happened to someone in my office, you know, forever ago. They had put in this area, seller to leave 55 Chevy. And I mean, this stuff would have been caught, it would be caught now, but I'm just telling you, you got to pay attention to anything and everything that's written in garage. Or seller, let's see, it was 55. They don't include furniture and all that kind of stuff anymore in the addendum. I mean, there could be maybe a piece or two, but if let's say, like I had a client spend about 25,000 buying the furniture in a particular house that they bought, that's all outside of escrow. That's not part of the sale, right? Lenders don't want to see that stuff anymore. But like I said, this was a gazillion years ago, but it's just to prove a point. 55 Chevy in garage is included in the sale of home. They closed escrow, no one mentioned it. The buyer got there, car is not in the garage. Guess what? Listing agent had to buy him 55 Chevy, right? Because it's in the agreement. So just make sure that you pay attention to everything. And then especially when it comes to the counter offers, which will be another training, be clear and concise and simple with what you're trying to relay, okay? Because if it's ambiguous to you, it will be ambiguous to everybody else. There's no clarity, etc. Does that make sense? So you just want to be, you know, like I know this is silly, but purchase price to be blah, 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 right? Seller to include, seller to vacate property, or seller to deliver home vacant at COE, right? Just whatever the case may be, you just have to be simple, concise, that everyone understands what the deal is. Because there's times when I've read addendums and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, dude, I don't even know what you're trying to say. No one knows what's anybody's supposed to do.
Is it like doctor's writing?
Yeah, sometimes.
Prescription writing?
Yeah. So,
Have
but
you
the cool
ever-
thing, huh?
Have you ever had about like the 55 Chevy? Have you ever had something happen where they put that on the buyer's RPA, but then the selling agent and the seller said, well, I don't know what you're talking about. There was never a 55 Chevy inside there. But you know, in fact, when you went for the showing, you saw with your own eyes a 55 Chevy in the garage.
Yeah, like a lot of stuff, that stuff would probably be included in the MLS pictures. But like I said, I mean, how we did business and everything, you know, 20 years ago is different than how we do business now.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, technology has changed the game for sure. But like I said, you guys have to be make sure all the I's are dotted, all the T's are crossed, and you have to do everything to protect your clients, right? And protect yourself and protect the company. But yeah, there'll be things that will, that may, it's just like, okay, I'm not clear on that or what have you. So that's why it's just real important to, especially when you get into escrow, you have a summary sheet of everything and dates and all that kind of stuff as to what's going on. So you don't lose sight of what's happening.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Well, I am gonna say goodbye. We'll leave it there. So was any of this helpful at all?
It was very
This was
Absolutely.
great.
Yes,
Of
very
course.
helpful.
Yes, Stephanie, thank you.
Very
Okay,
helpful.
You're
awesome.
great.
So I appreciate you all being on here. And like I said, I will, I'm going to have these be kind of close together so we can get through the contract. I want you guys to be able to, feel comfortable answering the questions. I'll share whatever information that I have. And then just those of you that have mentors, please just do practice, mock tests or not mock tests, mock contracts, just so you guys get in the habit of it and even role play with somebody. Explain to them what the contract means, right? Explain to them what the contract means. Okay, so I have a hard stop right now. I have another meeting at 6.
Okay.
As you can see, I was on waiting.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. You're welcome. I appreciate each and every one of you. You guys are doing amazing, and have a great night, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
so this meeting's
too.
gonna
Bye-bye.
continue not, so this meeting
Yeah.
will continue not next Wednesday, but the following, and will it be at 5?
Yeah, I will send out. I may even do it on a different day. I'm just trying, I want to, because it'll take us way long if I do it every other week. That's what I had said, but I might just try pushing it maybe a couple times a week or something like that to get through it.
Okay, sounds
That
awesome.
would be a good way.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Bye.
all.
Bye.
Bye. Hey, Ben,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
I assume you're Stephanie.
I am Stephanie. Well, it
Nice
says
to meet
KW
you.
Rock, so I guess.
Yeah, KW rocks. I mean, nothing wrong with that.
That we do.
How's everything today?
It's good. It's been busy.
That's always a good day.
Okay, so we're just waiting on, there's some vacuuming happening, so wait. Oh, there's. Hello, gorgeous.
Hi, Stephanie.
How are you?
Good. How are you? I miss you.
I miss you too.
I
Hi, I just can't believe how long it's been. This is nuts.
I know, it's crazy. Is Ben on yet?
Yep, he's right there. Can you see him?
Can't
No.
see
You
me?
may be on speaker view instead of gallery view. I don't know. Let's see.
I can see you, Denise.
I see you when
Oh,
you're
you're on your
talking.
phone, right?
I'm
So you
on
have
my,
to scroll.
wait, where do you scroll?
Yeah, kind of
Just
swipe
swipe.
it.
Yes, now I got it. I didn't know that. Okay, thank
Hi.
you.
All right, awesome. So Ben, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an interesting couple months. I actually passed the test at the end of July,
Oh, nice.
and I just got my license Monday. so
Wow,
it's been with
wow.
COVID and everything, it's a procedure.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, dealing with the state is difficult enough, and then you add COVID to it. It's like, oh, geez.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm excited. I'm definitely ready. I think waiting for a few months here has got me a little more amped up.
Yeah. Very
Good. Well,
cool.
let's get the ball rolling. Let's get you going. Let's get you starting, to sell. I'm anxious to start teaching you things.
All right, ready to learn. Sponge, sponge,
Okay.
sponge, sponge.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, I know Denise and I had an opportunity to speak earlier, and she's so excited about you joining her team and just getting going on everything. And I also have a real estate coach that I meet with every Thursday, and he was just like, because Stephanie, I mean, obviously we have no idea, things could change tomorrow of what's happening. I mean, we have the market's incredible. It's a perfect storm. So you're getting in, I think, at an amazing time. And what he told me is that he feels that we're going to have probably the next 14 to 15 months as a real estate gold rush.
Oh,
So,
wow. Awesome.
so it just matters. It just depends on how much time or how much effort you want to put into it and your dedication and your discipline. I mean, I know that you're busy during the day. But there's a lot of stuff, and with Denise's guidance, you can totally knock it out of the park if you have that burning desire to do so.
And Ben,
Definitely.
remember, while you're doing while you're teaching and coaching, I'm here. I'm here. Anyone on my team, anybody could help you. So if it's showing, if it's dealing, working with a buyer, we're here as a team to help you and support you in any and every way we can.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, you're really walking into a perfect situation, right? And to be able to build a real estate business while doing what you're doing and with Denise's guidance. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel very lucky. So it's good.
All right. Wonderful.
So do
So
I.
what questions, what do you guys want to talk about? What can I share with you? What questions do you have?
Well, can you actually explain, since Ben is so new to this industry, will you kind of explain to him like what a mentor mentee is? Will you tell him about all the amazing classes they have to offer? And a lot of them are on tape. So if you can't make it, Ben, I suggest at night or on the